Alright, today we'll be talking about how corn and the Abrahamic religions are very similar and how this is a problem. Well, we subsidize corn. Corn has begun to infect the entirety of America. There's very few processed foods that don't use corn syrup. Now, of course, you'd say, well, I buy organic. Well, of course. But that doesn't spare you. Let's say you buy your farm-raised meats. What do you think they feed those animals? Corn. All right. But now you say, well, I eat organic foods. I'm safe from corn. Well, yes. I mean, as long as you're not eating corn, you should be safe from corn, correct? But no, that's not the case. Because what do you think's in the fertilizer they use for those plants? They feed those animals corn, and that fertilizer is then just a byproduct of giving those animals corn. Even if you got food unaffected by corn, now with ethanol, which, although granted, yes, can be made from soybeans, but here in America it's primarily made up of corn. Guess what? Now it's affecting the entire energy system. Because we subsidize corn, especially in Illinois, corn has infected the entire economy. It's infected the entire, all of agriculture. Corn has infected everything by going into corn syrup, by going into ethanol. There's nothing that isn't touched by corn. Corn affects everything, and if we were to now stop those subsidies, all of a sudden, everything in America, all processed foods, all foods, organic or otherwise, would go up because corn affects everything. It's everywhere. Now, of course, how does that relate to religions? Well, what many people don't know is that we give subsidies to the Abrahamic religions. But which are the Abrahamic religions? Well, that's Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Basically, any religion that's a sect from that, or derives its dogma from one of those three. That's the problem, because those religions are infecting America. The Abrahamic religions are doing some damage here. There's not much opportunity for other religions. Granted, yes, non-Abrahamic religions can indeed become tax exempt, but it is a legal hassle. And just because one institution, part of a larger religion, like let's say Buddhism, or let's say one Buddhist temple manages to get tax exempt, that doesn't mean that now all other Buddhist temples that are part of that Buddhist sect are now tax exempt. No, just that one religion. And that's, of course, the problem are running into, is we're showing favoritism to those religions, and it has to stop. So, I'm sure you're wondering, how do we fix this? Well, there's three options that I can think of. One, we leave things as they are, though it's not working. We're showing favoritism, and the government should not be doing that. So it has to stop. Two, we allow all other religions the same tax-exempt policy that we give the Abrahamic religions. Now, I'll dive deeper into this one. Yes, although it would be fair, it wouldn't be practical. I mean, think about it like this. Right now, we're taxing Buddhist temples and we're taxing other religious institutions, because they've erected buildings on government land, well, on land in America. If we stop taxing them, we're getting in less money. And here in America, as long as it's a genuinely held belief, it's your religion. So we wouldn't be able to set up criteria that determine what a religion is here in this country. As such, as long as it's a genuinely held belief, they can simply decide to erect the building. So basically, we're losing residential land and commercial land for, religious purposes. And of course, we're not getting in the money. That's as simple as it is. We're getting less tax dollars. There's not, yes, it's fair, to give everyone the exemption, but it's just not practical. We'd be giving up so much land, and we'd be giving up those tax dollars. That land would just become, it wouldn't really benefit the government, and it really doesn't benefit us as the taxpayers. So then, what's the last one? Well, this third step is that we simply remove the tax-exempt policies. Churches are no longer tax-exempt entities. If they decide to take a piece of land, that's all right, but they still have to pay taxes on that land. This is the most fair, process we can go without, causing the most harm to us. And I know what you're saying, but hear me out. If by taxing all entities fair, by taxing the land that they're on and taxing all of them, it's fair in the regards that no one's getting an upper hand. Now, of course, granted, property tax laws differ depending on what county you're in, but of course, that's always been true. So that's not really being unfair. That's just living in a better neighborhood. So as long as they're paying taxes and everyone has to pay taxes, then it's fair. We're not showing favoritism to anyone by exempting them. And two, it doesn't end the revenue stream. It actually increases it, because now the Abrahamic religions and other religious institutions that manage to get tax exempt, now they're going to have to pay. Now, of course, the downside of this is, some churches are going to close down. That's going to happen. But of course, being that they were erected in the first place because they didn't have to pay any property taxes, if they couldn't, afford to be there, except for the fact that they don't have to pay taxes, then maybe they shouldn't have been there in the first place. So of course, this is my comparison of the Abrahamic religions and corn, pointing out the problem, pointing out how we fix it, because if we don't, we're going to find ourselves in a situation where the population will either be predominantly Jewish, predominantly Christian, or predominantly Islamic, or Muslim, I should say, sorry. And there won't really be much room for any other religion. And if we want to be fair, we should let all religions play on an even playing field. But of course, we still have to worry about tax dollars, or buildings being erected on land. And of course, that land not being able to be used used for commercial or residential purposes. And of course, as long as they have the money to build the institution, they're not going to have to worry about taxes. So it puts an incentive to build as many of these buildings as they want, as many of these religious institutions, as long as they know they're going to get a tax break. And we have to fix this, because of course, these religions are outnumbering unfairly, because we're giving them we're putting them on steroids and we're giving them a boost. And of course, just like corn, eventually they're going to affect a lot of things. Christianity is very political. as is Islam and Judaism, and so is Judaism. You know, they go out and they make their voices heard. They turn around and they use the money they get for a profit. They turn around and they reinvest, putting up more churches, spreading the word. And we have to be careful, because especially Christianity, it is an economic powerhouse. And they are very political religions. And they do affect our economy, they do affect our politics, they do affect society, and we're allowing these religions to infect us. Just like we've allowed corn to infect us. And we have to be very careful. Alright? So I'm out. Hopefully you learned something. And, yeah, peace.